ever stop to think, man, skin is so amazing? I mean, look at all the cool things it can possibly do. When you get pregnant, it stretches out for you and can leave some stretch marks. And with no sunscreen on, you're probably gonna get burnt. But think about what your skin is doing for you. It is the first protective barrier against any sort of disease that's trying to come your way. There are plenty of pathogens that are trying to get inside of our bodies, and pathogens are any sort of disease-causing agent. However, our skin produces a chemical called sebum, and sebum is able to lower our skin pH to keep all that stuff out, and plus it doesn't want to grow in lower pHs. I mean, think about it. If you get cut, eventually that blood is going to clot, unless you have a blood disorder. But then your skin heals right over top of it. No big deal. Want to know how I got the scar? Sorry, Dark Knight reference. Here's the thing about cuts. When you get cut, that physical barrier you once had is now an entryway for pathogens to get in. Platelets are smaller than white blood cells and red blood cells. And as soon as you get cut, they want to go to that site, and then the clotting factors all trigger in. After those reactions take place, an enzyme called thrombin is eventually going to be made. Thrombin's in charge of converting the protein fibrinogen into fibrin. Then that fibrin comes in and forms that mesh over wherever you got cut at. Once that mesh comes over the cut, it forms kind of as a gel at first, and then over time the air hits it and it dries into a scab. Do not pick your scabs. Now, one place you don't want to get a clot is inside your body. So a thrombus is the medical name for a blood clot. And then you can get a coronary thrombus, which means that it's taken place somewhere inside of your heart. If you get a blood clot to your heart, there can be some serious consequences that go along with that. If the oxygen's cut off to your heart, then that means that your heart can no longer make enough ATP to pump like it's supposed to. The contractions become irregular and uncoordinated, and therefore can result in a heart attack. Oh, my heart. Oh. Just as a reminder, one of the first signs of a heart attack, they get this tingling in their left arm, and then it feels like an elephant is sitting on your chest. Atherosclerosis is when parts of your arteries become hardened and there's things that are lining it and trying to block the way of the blood flow. That can lead to coronary occlusion, and that's when the arteries become blocked or partially blocked. If an occlusion takes place, it can lead to a rupture and then to a lesion, which can also lead to other consequences. So doctors try to tell people, hey, here are a few factors you should probably stay away from in order to keep your heart healthy. Smoking, a high blood cholesterol concentration, high blood pressure, the diabetes, obesity, and a lack of exercise. I'm out of breath. However, they do say that correlation does not prove causation, so just keep those things in mind. So anyways, back to this whole skin thing. The second line of defense that you have are your mucous membranes that line all the airways and passages that you have in your body. Hopefully they help to keep a lot of the bad things out. However, we all know that pathogens can still get in, and that's why we get sick. So the big question is, what happens when pathogens get past our barriers? Luckily, our body has a defense mechanism, and we're able to use our white blood cells to help fight off that bacteria or virus or whatever else could be trying to invade our cells. A great example of a white blood cell is a phagocyte. And what it does, as soon as it sees the infection, it travels its way to the infection immediately. Then it tries to engulf the pathogen by endocytosis. After it's been engulfed, it will digest them with enzymes and lysozymes. But sometimes infections take place, and when that happens, our phagocytes have to go a step further in order to ensure our safety. Big numbers of phagocytes are attracted to the site of infection immediately. And you've probably seen it before. You get this white fluid called pus. Do you know your signs of infection? Redness, tenderness, swollen, and then you notice it's not getting any better. We'll talk more about that next time. On the surface of pathogens are proteins called antigens, and those antigens actually trigger a specific immune response depending on what pathogen has invaded your body. Fortunately, we have specific antibodies that want to go and attach to that antigen so we can fight it off. Now, our antibodies are produced by lymphocytes, which is a type of white blood cell. Each lymphocyte produces one type of antibody, but we can make a vast array of those. Initially, there aren't enough lymphocytes to make enough antibodies to defeat the pathogens that have first invaded our bodies. However, antigens do stimulate cell division of the lymphocytes, so we can make more and more antibodies. Hopefully, in a few days, we have enough antibodies that are able to fight the infection off and defeat the pathogen. Sometimes you just gotta let it run its course. There's nothing else you can do. Now, antibodies have two regions. The first region binds to that antigen specifically. The second region helps the body fight the pathogen off. It makes the pathogen more recognizable by phagocytes. And it prevents the virus from docking to other host cells and reproducing itself. Unfortunately, our antibodies are only in our bodies for a few weeks or even months. But there's good news! The lymphocytes that make these antibodies, some of them actually become memory cells. These memory cells live a long time. They remain totally inactive unless we see that same pathogen again. Then we're able to produce antibodies at a much quicker pace than we were the first time. And the infection shouldn't last that long. Now, immunity is something that we all need, and there are only two ways that we can have immunity. The first way is having antibodies against those pathogens. And the second way is having memory cells that allow that rapid production of antibodies when we see the infection the second time. So again, let's get back to talking about your skin and this physical barrier it has for our bodies. The coronavirus is highly contagious. We're not getting it through our hands. It's when our hands touch our face. That's why it's been so important to wash your hands. Your hands can carry it. However, it's also airborne. And that's why they're telling us to wear masks. Because we got to be able to stop the pathogen from entering our bodies. Dang, it's hard to breathe in these things. Better make sure to brush your teeth if you put one of these things on. I did, don't worry. All right, seriously, I'm out of breath. So here's my week 1 challenge to you. I want you to observe somebody for 1 hour and see how many times their hands touch their face. Just keeping your hands out of your face can help you stay healthy. I also encourage you to check out the website, DoNotTouchYourFace.com. I mean, you're at home, you got nothing else to do, so you might as well observe somebody for an hour. But don't tell them what you're doing. It's more fun when you have a clipboard and you tally it up, and they have no idea what's going on. Maybe you even want to try it on yourself. Just say, hey, how many times do I touch my face in an hour? Till next week, I'm out.